Hey, everybody, welcome to the weekly coaching call. And this week without Chris, so we're having a party. Woo, woo, woo. Hey, no, we're in the midst of a push week series where we are talking about gaining momentum and finding persons of peace through push weeks. And just a reminder, in case you've missed the first couple weeks of the series, push weeks where you spend extraordinary time that you probably couldn't do on a daily or weekly basis, going out among the lost, praying together as a team, co-laboring with people, and specifically raising the bar on spiritual conversations that we're having with people in neighborhoods, apartment complexes, and in our community. So I shared in week one kind of the overview, some pictures, what some of our experiences have been with Push Week. We continued a little bit of principles in the second week, but then my promise in the series is that you would hear from other people more than you hear from me, and I'm keeping that promise. So today we've got three who are going to share, and I'm going to, in just a minute, have Russ go first, and then Monica, and then Wayne, you're going to go third, and we're going to hear from all three of them on some of their perspectives from Push Week. The couple things I want to share before we get into the three sharing today is that we were having a conversation with some leaders, and I think this is a great reminder regarding Push Weeks. Some of you might be in an area where you don't have a disciple-making community team yet. And so you're thinking, man, the only way I can do a push week is if I go visit somebody else and do it with them. And yes, that is a valid way to participate in a push week. However, I want to give you a creative idea that some of us were talking about as leaders yesterday. And that is that you could commit to a period of time where you're going to increase those activities. You only need one other person to push with. You need another partner to go out among the lost with. You need somebody to pray with. But you could do this with other people who are in the same scenario that you're in more than one city. And you guys could all get together and co-labor, pray together in the evenings, share stories from the day, and then take a couple days to go out. And you could do a part virtual, part hybrid push week where you're getting activity done in your own neighborhoods and in your own area by just saying, hey, would you do this with me? And then partner up with a couple other people who are in the same scenario but might be in different locations, and do your prayer times, your encouragement, and your sharing of stories together online, and then go out with the one other person that you have with you. It doesn't take an army to do a push week. It takes obedience and margin and time. So that's one tool that I want to give you today, because I think that might help some of you say, hey, I want to schedule a push week. Here's the second thing we want to challenge everyone. Before the end of the series, we know there's today and at least one more week next week, because we've got a guest joining us. Before the end of the series, we want to challenge everyone to commit to when you're doing your push week. Now, you could do what I just shared. You could join somebody else and travel to their city and co-labor with them. You could host your own push week and come up with a date. But we're asking everybody who's willing to commit to one of those three things and get it on the calendar before the end of the series. So it could be later in this year. It could be the beginning of 2025, but you're committing to a date and you're saying, this is when I'm going to do a push week, or this is the crew that I'm going to join to do a push week. And after the call today, I'm going to put a Google form in the Slack area. And we're asking everybody to put your name, email, phone number, and what you're going to do for a push week. It can be a short answer, but include the date if you've got one. And there's a couple reasons we want to do this. One, we might be able to send people to help you, or people from the team might be willing to come help you. Number two, we want to pray for you when you schedule that day and be very specific in our prayer times of saying, hey, right now, this is going on. The next one that I know of that's coming up is in Ithaca, New York, with John and Kathy and their crew up there. And we want to put that out there and have everybody be praying while we're doing the push week together. And we want to do that for everybody because we believe that this is a critical tool and critical component to seeing 1 million disciples by 2028. Push Week's one tool in the tool belt. It's not a magic pill, but it does help with obedience, and it does help with the co-laboring, and we learn from one another. Things rub off on one another. And so we just believe that this is a really, really important tool. We don't want to go through the series and be like, well, that was a great series. We want to actually put it into practice and recognize that we're trying to encourage one another and spur one another on to obedience. So would everybody commit? You've got 2 weeks to make a decision about what push week you are going to participate in, host yourself, or come up with a hybrid online and fill out the form in Slack. You got a 2-week deadline to fill that out. Is everybody willing to do that? If so, give me some thumbs up. Awesome. Awesome. So with that said, I'm keeping my promise. You're going to hear from other people more than you hear from me. So I'm turning it over to you, Russ. And then after Russ is Monica. And after Monica is Wayne. Take it away, Russ. And remember to unmute. There you go.
Okay. Hello. So I'm Russ. I'm from Oregon, but I'm not from Portland. I'm from a town called Corvallis, which for those of you who want to know, that's about 70 miles from Portland. So it's a smaller town. It's a university town. So as far as push weeks go, we've done 2 on our own and then 2 with Brent in the broader Oregon community. Everyone that we've done in Corvallis has been what we call a mini push week, because a week is how many days? 6 with a Sabbath, or 7, we've only done them like Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And one of them was only Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I think that's just kind of say how the Lord's used that. So just the mini weeks. If you're looking for some patterns or whatever, we did like on Thursday night, an extraordinary prayer night, pulled everybody into it. On a Friday at noon, we had a prayer walk where we invited a bunch of people in our city together. And then Friday night, we did a vision casting night, which was kind of like a big social with some people talking about, well, actually, we ended up doing one of the No Place Left trainings called 411 training that night. We were kind of wrestling with, and this is just only an idea I've never done, but like a movie night where you showed like ordinary people movie, some DMM kind of vision casting movie. And then on Saturday, we did a training in the morning, and then we went prayer walking, and then trained more, and then we went out among the lost. So that was kind of our first mini push week. So that's just kind of like pattern of mini push weeks. And the other piece I wanted to kind of share in my experience with it is how in the book that Chris wrote, and when he described what push weeks were, he talked about how it's a time to raise all the sails. So they're kind of the highlight, the crescendo a lot of times is the time among the lost, and hopefully the group would start out of that week. I think you got to kind of keep that as like the thing you're shooting for in the week. But also it's a great time to do those other sales, because you have people around you helping those things be awesome. So one of the first things I did on casting vision during like a push kind of an experience was something very early on in my journey, where we had a worker from Southeast Asia coming into town, and he does DMM among the unreached people groups, and a lot of people in our city knew him. And so we used that night to have a big night where he shared about the sales, but how he's raising the sales in the nations. And then at the end of that, there were so many conversations where people were hungry, like, I want to live in a disciple-making community. I want to be on mission, not just going to church. And so that was one huge thing. Jordan Heater and I pulled together this really cool night way back in the day before I even met any of you guys. The other story from a mini push week was from our first one. It was in December, which is not recommended time of the year, although we put on our jackets and it worked okay. And that was a lady named Tracy, who was she was a missions chair at one of my partner churches. So I'm a supported missionary, and one of my partner churches in town, she was the mission chair. So to support what we're doing, came out to our push week. She got trained and on our short training, and then she went out among the lost. And in an apartment complex, we had a really creative conversation with the lady who was trying to cram a lazy boy chair in the trunk of her car. And so we came alongside and tried to help her I can't remember if we got it in there. I think we somehow got it in there, but the friendship this person ended up being a believer but didn't have any fellowship. What was so cool was Tracy was then able to have coffee with her a number of times after that. And so here's someone in our town who was a mission leader in their church, was able to see how disciple making happened because I pulled her in. Invited her into that day. The other opportunity that I was thinking of what's great about Push Weeks is for on the sale of Multiply Extraordinary Prayer. Because if you do like a prayer walk in your city and you have some people like from a bigger city or a different city coming in, it kind of can create a buzz. So I've used it a few times where I said, hey, we're going to prayer walk. We're going to have these people from Portland come in. It's going to be great. Come on and prayer walk with us. And we've had people join the prayer walk that wouldn't normally join it because it seems like a big deal. Now, maybe that's, attractional, but whatever, you can use it a little bit still. See, so one of the cool things I think about prayer walking and Push Weeks, and you guys probably know this is kind of like just a no-brainer, but when you have a date like, hey, people are coming to my town and we're going to go out among the lost, it really gives like this urgency. Let's prayer walk and let's cover the area. So we, in this one August Push Week where the Portland folks came with the Georgia people and Texas people, we were going to focus on that neighborhood. So we just like drenched that neighborhood in prayer. And like we passed out maps and we covered it over and over and over and over and over again. And that just really, you can really sense it. In fact, one of the guys from Georgia said, I could tell you guys been prayer walking this place because it just is like fruit was ready for the picking, at least good conversations. The other piece I was going to share is as far as the sale you can raise. So I talked about prayer, talked about vision casting, but it's also coaching, ongoing coaching. So I have some pictures. I'm going to share some pictures because everybody likes pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. And you might like this first picture I'm going to show because some of you are in it. So this was the Push Week we did. This was right after last year's April gathering. You guys remember this? So I came home from this, and then, oh, and this happened there too. We were at Oceanside. I got to see Ian this week, so I wanted to include that. I have these two. I don't know if you see my cursor, but these two young ladies right here were two interns that came to work with us for for about a month, and I used them, and I was coaching. I'd already trained them with the 8-week training, and they'd been going out among the lost and stuff in our city. But during the Push Week, they were able to like take a next step, and I was able to coach them and use them to lead some of the pieces. And because it was that focus area, it really created a good environment for them to get a good experience. So this is Grace and Emma. They're from Liberty University, and so we were having an outreach night. This is it's called a hot pot. And so we had some Chinese, Taiwanese students there and my kids, and they were getting some cross-cultural experience. They had taken a trip to France. So our vision casting night of that mini Push Week was them sharing about how they were trying to make disciples in France. And then the next day I had them, this is them, they did we did the 411 training, and then we went out among the lost. And since it's such a simple, reproducible training, I was able to let those interns, I trained them, and then they did the training instead of me. So that was a key piece there. And so then everybody who was getting trained was inspired that these girls had just learned that training a week prior, and they're giving it because that's the whole, just that whole DNA of passing things on. And then I had to show this picture because there's this guy named Wayne who came down from Portland, and he inspired us to coach, to do counting about what we did. We went door to door. So here's him at the lunch debrief after we went out among the lost, telling us about how it's really done. And he did it was great to have him there. And of course, you've kind of heard that already, that when you do a Push Week, it's a great opportunity to have friends join you. And so we actually, at the very end of that, we went up to this guy's house. And I don't know if it's okay. I didn't ask Brent's permission, but this is his house in Portland. And this is me, and the interns took this picture, so you don't see me or the interns in there. But we went prayer walking and door to door around his house. So that's kind of the main things I wanted to share, just the importance of raising all the sales during the push week. And then also, I'm going to stop sharing here, is I think that if you're like me, I really have a heart for the whole body of Christ to be united to the mission in our city. And a push week is really an opportunity for you to put your arms around the other believers in your community and see where are some on-ramps for them to get engaged in something where they're reaching their town. And then it actually inspires them that someone would come to their town to reach it. That, yeah, we are on a mission field, and we should not just be going day to day. We should be thinking about reaching our city with the missionary mindset. So
love
there
it.
you go.
Thank you. Let's give Russ a round of applause. Monica, if you could unmute. I remember going up to Seattle and going out among the lost with Anna and Monica and their team up there, and Hannah and Crystal. And one of the highlights of that was getting to watch Monica baptize somebody for the first time in her life and seeing the joy on her face. So Monica, take it away and tell us what God's put on your heart to share.
Well, hi, everyone. I guess I am known by that, right? Friend, everybody knows me by that.
Yes.
My encounter with the water. Well, I've been in maybe 3 push weeks in San Diego. Then we went to Orlando and be a part of it. And then we did a mini push week here in Washington. I'm from Washington. And what I can tell you is that I have learned so much. And maybe cutting out some limitations than before. I thought, oh, that is only for the pastoral, for the ministers, but not being none of that. I always had kind of that question, how can I do this? Is this for me? But like I said, in all these push weeks that I've been a part of it, I have learned that this is for anybody, everybody who wants to be obedient and do what the Lord is calling us to do. It's true then for those we don't have the experience, maybe a little harder to get into it, but I always have to remember that it is not me, it's the Holy Spirit in me. So kind of have to go back to the basics, no? He's the one who leads me, so I should not be afraid. And like I said, I have learned so much, getting to know people, and the opportunity you get when you go to be a part of different push weeks and different cities. People that's different, and sometimes the things that you experience are different too. So we are learning in the process too. So like Russ was saying, prayer is the main part of it, I will say. Here in Washington, we kind of divide and conquer, choose neighborhoods where we belong to, and collaborating and helping each other, going by twos, like it is, you all know. And start praying maybe like 3 weeks or maybe a little more ahead of time, preparing the ground. So we did that at least once or twice, maybe sometimes 3 times a week, and just walking around the place that we are going to target. And I will say, doing that, God show you what it is that it needs to be praying for. What are the strongholds? What are the things that you need to start fighting against? And I guess doing that, like they say, raising all the 7 cells, that's what we are doing and all that. Getting to the word, praying, listening. And like I said, my baptism, of course, one was in the push, mini push that we did for 3 days. And that was my first time. It caught me on guard, of course, because I was not expecting. I thought, well, Anna will do it. She's the pastor. Why am I have to do it? But then later when I was there, say, no, you talk to her, you encounter her, you do it. So I said, okay, I will do it. I was not ready at all, but I guess that's when it comes to obedience and the adventure. I did it, and maybe I was not so pleased in the beginning, and I ended being baptized too for the second time because I got in the water with the person that I was baptizing. So, but those are good memories then you get to take with you and carry with you and share to others. And the experience that we had, it was amazing. And I think collaborating with others is the main key too, because we cannot do it all alone. We have to share the load, and we have to be willing to also allow somebody else to help us doing it together, because then we will do more, right? One other thing that I will say is like praying and be ready for whatever and everything that might come. We encounter things then probably we will not think, spiritual warfare, learning things like witchcraft, or start noticing things. So all that, you have to be prepared ahead of time. And that's what I guess extraordinary prayer comes in, because if the Lord is showing you, you know what to expect, and you know how to deal with it when the time comes. So it has been a really exciting experience. I never thought that I will be knocking on people's door and talking about Jesus, sharing stories from the Bible. Never in my life, but there I was. So I guess obedience is the big key to this, I will say, and the love that we have for the last and the Lord.
Amen.
So if you haven't done it, I invite you to do it. Just take one step. Just give the first step, and then it will come up. And you're not alone. Like I said, and everybody said, it's better to do it with somebody, work together. So I am really thankful for Anna, because she has coaching us very well. And she's always been there, showing us and leading us, allowing us to try it. And I think that has been a big thing. And praying.
Amen. Monica, one of the things she said I want to just highlight, could make sure you guys caught it before we give her a round of applause. Because she said she had never done it before. And what is the thing that caused her to do it? Obedience and doing it with somebody else. And I want to show you guys something. This was where we were out. This is the actual apartment. This is the lady right here in the purple that got baptized. We met her, and I think it was Anna and Monica. It was the next day we went back to baptize her, right?
Yes.
Yes. So that's how spiritually open she was. What if we had not gone, y'all? And I just think about that over and over and over again, because here they are the next day. And now Monica's out in the water. And like she said, I'm not going to show the video, Monica, so don't worry.
No, please.
But Monica went under with her, and she got a second baptism, which was amazing. Memories were made. But I just love that obedience births movement. And I believe with all of my heart that if we will help other people engage in things for the first time and make sure they don't have to do it alone, we will see even greater breakthrough. So let's give Monica a round of applause. All right, Wayne, you are up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, one of the things I think I'll leverage off Monica is you have to believe that it's just fruitful, and it is. Like, you can be like the 10 spies and say, oh, there's giants in the land, or you can be like Jacob and Joshua and Caleb and say, the land is fruitful and plentiful. And if you go out with that aspect, it'll really make a difference. One time, I just have to share, I was out with Joe Camerlingi, and we were out at Texas Tech campus, and the dude was prayed up. I mean, we were walking out there, and he was seeing opportunities that I did not even see. And so prayer is vital in that. I just want to share just a couple of slides. Can you guys see this? Okay. Basically, from a training aspect.
Hey, Wayne, you got a screen share.
Oh, sorry about that. Let's do that. That'd probably help. If I can. There we go. And let's see. Sure. How's that? Does that work?
It's coming up. There you go. Yep.
Okay. So from a training aspect, push weeks are a lot like a team training in a gym. Together, You motivate each other, you get more accomplished, and you learn and practice new skills, and you develop the strength and confidence to go out on your own. From a leadership aspect, depending on how large your group is, a push week organizer has a vital role. And you know, Brent doesn't say this much, but he has a critical role in the pushes that we do in the summertime here, where we're going to have 33 others come in. Together, you organize the week, you organize the push, pre-push prayer, and think of that as like walking around Jericho. And then you listen for the Holy Spirit's lead through the week to determine what locations you should go to, and divide the group up, and providing the transportation and providing tracking statistics, including the locations that you visited and the follow-ups. And you want to make sure that everyone can share their story afterwards, because you're going to have plenty of stories. God blesses so much when we go out among the lost. And just as working out in a gym, you can't do it 24/7. The push week organizer or organizers strike a balance between goaling, which is going out among the lost, and recovery time. So they'll schedule breaks and meals and group activities like sightseeing, hikes, debrief time, and fellowship time. And you can see here, kids are involved too. Don't forget your family. You want to live life on mission. And also, from a participant standpoint, it is just great for us to reach our 1 million disciples in multiplying movements by 2028. It will be a team effort. On the left, you can see a bunch of different groups that are DMM meeting for a lunch. We did that a couple of years ago, and we just met again. And then on the right, we collaborate also across DMM channel to go out among the lost. Grace Lukeman here from Big Life, Joanna Woods from ISI. In the left side, you can see Vasily. He's from No Place Left. This summer in July, I'll be helping Chris Snodgrass, who's with Kansas City Underground, with his push week. This is the third year in a row that we're helping him in Beaverton. So it's important to collaborate to reach that 1 million disciples. And then finally, it is just fun. It's an unforgettable experience. As a push week attendee, you will be blessed. Jesus said, pray for laborers to go out in the harvest. Guess what? You're that laborer. And so Jesus is smiling on the whole endeavor. And so make sure you come prayed up with a teachable heart, a faithful heart, and then you'll be so glad that you attended. There's so many things that you'll learn during the push week that you can never learn in a classroom or training setting. The skills that you practice that week begin to flow into the rest of your life. Just as you've worked out at the gym, the strength and benefit of that carries on throughout the week. You're able to be more open to sharing with people and strangers. Your toolbox is really sharp. And so like weightlifting, everything gets easier once you develop the muscle. And that's all I have.
Awesome, Wayne. Thank you for sharing. Let's give Wayne a round of applause. Hey, I'm putting in the chat every date that I'm aware of so far. This does not mean that this is all of them. These are just ones that I know about. But these are push week dates that are going to be coming up this summer or in the fall. So if you are interested in being a part of one of these, save these dates here, take a screenshot, whatever you need to. And then we'll put that form in the Slack for the days ahead. And we'll make sure that we also continue to update you as more dates come in, as people fill out that form. So that will be in there later this afternoon. All right. Hey, we've got time for 2 questions and then we're going to go into groups. Does anybody just have a pressing question that you're just dying to ask right now?
Were you going to put up a form for us to respond as to what
Yeah.
we're participating in?
Yes, Jim, it'll be up in Slack later this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bob asked, how do you follow up ongoing coaching? I think a couple things, Bob. One thing that we've learned is that we were, when we first started Push Weeks, turning all of our contacts, people that we interacted with, over to the local team. The problem with that is that the local team, that person isn't the person who interacted with them. So you're almost taking a step back in order to hope that you can take a step forward. So one of the things that we did, and we did this when we were down in Augusta just recently, as with the Eli family, is that we're asking everybody who participates in Push Week to be responsible for following up with their own contacts, at least a couple times, sometimes maybe even 3 times, especially if they're taking steps of obedience. You're doing DBS with them, you're continuing to have spiritual conversation with them, and they are obeying. When you see that pattern, that is a good place to then say, hey, because you're obeying, here's the next step of obedience that we want you to take. Could we connect you with Susie, like in the case of Augusta, and somebody on their local team, so that you can keep taking steps forward? So I think by far that is more fruitful than turning over a whole list of contacts. And here's the other thing. When you co-labor with other streams, not everybody knows what a person of peace is. So they try to turn everybody into a person of peace. And then you get this big old long list of people. And instead of thoroughly following up on 3 or 4 truly who are persons of peace, you're trying to follow up on 55 and harvest the persons of peace yourself. And I'll just be honest with you, that's very hard. I think, Susie, you would testify to this from you guys' experience as well. But I just think everybody needs to take responsibility for their own steps of obedience. So if you found somebody, you follow up with them. Once you see that person taking a step of obedience, with God's help and timing and collaboration with the local team, turn them over to somebody, and you will find far more fruit that way. Did that answer your question, Bob? Awesome. Anybody else? Russ, you want to do a quick 30-second flyover of 411 training?
Yeah, 411 training is like a why, what, who, when of disciple making that No Place Left uses a training. It's like 411 means 4 questions, 1 piece of paper, 1 hour. You can find it on YouTube and see someone, modeling it there. But it's a simple thing that teaches people that all believers need to be disciple makers and what you're supposed to share. It goes over the 3 circles, 15-second testimony. That's what the training is.
Yeah, good tool for the tool belt. Awesome. Okay, we're going to go into groups, and we'll look forward to having a special guest join us next week for this Push Week series. And I would encourage one more time everybody to look later this afternoon after the coaching call for an opportunity to fill out that Slack form. We'll gather all of that information and we will share it with everyone. So feel free to turn that in.